Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Today I'm going to talk about the Arise platform. Exactly what is Arise, how to get started, the pros and cons, and my experience with working with it for about 6 months. First, what is Arise? Arise is a third-party company that takes phone calls for customer service for other companies like Home Depot, Dick's Sporting Goods, Carnival Cruise Line, any business that hires Arise to take phone calls for their companies when they're just overloaded with calls and customer service requests that they just can't handle. When you first start with Arise, it's not an easy process, but once you get through the beginning process, it's super easy to start working. You got to go through a background check, you go through a minor interview, you go through all these things on a checklist to get the opportunities that you want to choose from. Finally in, multiple opportunities will pop up. It'll be the Carnival Cruise Line, it'll be Home Depot, it'll be Dick's Sporting Goods, it'll be companies that need bilingual people that speak Spanish. So all these opportunities will pop up, and then you'll click which one you would like to work for. Once you click the company you would like to work for, there's a 3-week training process that you must go through before you begin taking calls and speaking with live customers. So Arise companies have a 3-week training process. There's no way around that. The thing with the training process is that a lot of businesses do not pay for the 3-week training, or they pay very little, maybe like $8 to $10 an hour. So you have to see if it's worth it for you. Do you have a second job? Do you have bills that need to be paid? Or are you a stay-at-home parent anyway that you could use that time to train? The training could either be maybe a 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. session, a 6 to 10. You pick what schedule you would like, but it's 3 weeks straight, and you must pass the training to begin working. Once you're done training, you're super excited, you're ready to work, you get the approval, you get your schedule, you do need a computer, they make you use a headset, and also you have to go through their process that they need to secure your laptop or your desktop. This process is very important because if you don't have everything or every checklist, or your computer is not hardwired, you will not be able to take calls. So make sure in the beginning you start doing this and make sure your computer is set and ready to go. Every single company is different. There could be a company that's open 24 hours, you can take calls. There could be a company that is just overnight and weekends. I personally worked for Dick's Sporting Goods, and it was open 8 a.m. for calls until midnight. So that was great. When I was working in the schools, I was able to take calls maybe around 5 to midnight. Weekends was easy, and summertime, of course, during the busy season, Christmas break, spring break, it was very nice to be able to take hours when I wanted to, or not pick them up if I did not want them. That begins the pros about Arise platform. You're able to pick and choose when you want. You can work full-time if you want, part-time, seasonal if possible, but there is a protocol you have to follow. Sometimes people have commitment adherence percentages, so you have to make sure you're meeting a certain quota to get the hours you want. I worked for Dick's Sporting Goods. It gave up to 20 hours a week. Some weeks it gave me up to 30. When it came to Christmas season, we had up to like 80 hours within like a 2-week period. They gave you incentives. Maybe they'll send you a random email like, hey, if you work between 2 and 8 p.m. during this weekend, we'll give you extra $3 an hour. So they had little things to make sure you're making more money, even though there was no way to create overtime, or there's no way to like go up exactly in the ladder. Also have to remember that there are times when it's a slow season, there's not going to be that many hours available. The con part of working for the Arise platform, and why I'm no longer working for them at the moment. There is no person to talk to with Arise when you have issues. Everything is through chat, whether it's partner support, technical support. And for the most part, if you're not having a big issue, they can certainly help you. But when you're having an issue, there's no help, or it takes forever for someone to respond. You have to create multiple tickets. Sometimes it takes days or weeks for someone to respond. I've had to complain multiple times in my 6 months of working. It's a lot of things that we're going to get into to talk about the cons of the Arise platform and if it's a great fit or not for you. So I began the Arise platform in July. I took 3 weeks because I am a paraprofessional, so I am off in the summers. I took 3 weeks and I sat there and I did the whole training process. I loved it. It was great. The teacher was amazing. The questions we had, the work wasn't too bad. They had self-paced work and live classes from 9 to 1 for 3 weeks straight. The last few days of the 3 weeks is when we took live calls with our class, so that when we get supervised during the calls, we were able to ask questions before the class was over. And that part was a great experience, and I loved working. We've also had a supervisor come and speak to us about the platform. They're super flexible. Not all the companies are great to work for, but Dick's Sporting Goods was great to work for. It was an amazing session. I had a great time, and I felt I learned a lot from the platform. Well, from taking the class. What happened was, into 2 to 3 weeks taking the calls, the person that was signing my checks was not paying me the way they should have. They were charging me. They were not a good company to work for. It seemed like it was a scam, but at the same time, it was a legit company, just wasn't paying me the full balance I needed to be paid. This happened, I reached out to Arise Platform specifically. I spoke to someone that was a representative, and she was able to get me to become an independent contractor with my own LLC, so I would get paid directly and no longer had to go through a third party that was paying me half of the hours that I was working. It didn't work long enough to gain thousands of dollars to decide to go to civil court and sue them and get my money back. I decided to just switch over to my own LLC. I might have lost maybe $250. I got my own LLC, became my own independent contractor, and it was great. I was getting my pay directly. It was like a $15 fee. So I was getting my pay directly. I had no issues. Canceled the company I was working for, blocked them, didn't have nothing to do with them at all. And I was beginning to take calls, and it started to become great again. Getting used to it, I was constantly taking hours when I was ready to get hours after my kids were fed, after I was done work. I was able to take hours at night, on the weekends, whenever I could. I was picking up hours. Like any other job, you get penalized for calling out, taking off, any of those things. When it comes to Dick's Sporting Goods, they're very lenient. I was told since the class, they were very, very lenient with those things. Most of the time, there was never hours to pick up, especially during the slower seasons. So I was only able to pick up maybe like 10 hours a week, where the minimum was about 15 hours a week. So I would reach out to my representative and let her know, like, I didn't meet my commitment adherence this week. And she was like, oh, it's not a big deal. As long as they see you picking up something, you know, it's okay. My percentage wasn't low, but it wasn't as high as it needed to be. But the hours wasn't there for me to pick up. She's like, they understand that. They know my situation. There was one lady that was in charge of everything that saw the representative that I spoke to. I sent her about 8 emails, never responded. The representative, which is under her, told me she knows your situation. She knows everything you went through with the other company. You're fine. I was like, okay. So once Christmas came, I was picking up hours. I dropped a few hours. I picked up multiple hours. My commitment adherence still wasn't where I wanted it to be. And again, I would reach out, see what's going on. I'm like, okay, fine. Left it alone. Continued picking up hours, doing great. I got a couple great reviews. Slow season came around February. It was getting slower. You know, Christmas was over. New Year's sales were over. It was getting slower and slower. So then it became time to renew my contract. At this time, my commitment adherence was about at maybe like an 88%, and the percentage is 100%. So it was around that time, but it was a time where I wasn't 100, especially during the Christmas season. But around this time, about 88%. I got an email saying my contract was not being renewed, and that's that. And it was it. Prior to this, I didn't work for a month. I didn't work for a month because of the technical issues they were having with their system. My phone wouldn't work. It would let me log in, but it wouldn't let me take calls. It would let me pick up hours, and I would go in my hours, but I wasn't able to answer calls, so my calls were dropping. All of this brings down your commitment adherence. I would pick up hours, I would go in, I wouldn't log in. So I would constantly create tickets saying I'm not able to log in, I'm not able to do this. But this is bringing down my commitment adherence. Even though they're documenting it, my commitment adherence isn't changing. So that also was affecting me, and that's also what I mentioned. And I still got my letter saying that my contract wasn't being renewed. So after that, I screenshotted all my text message with the representative I had. I sent all the email text messages I had. I listed all 18 of my created tickets that I made and sent them, put them in a whole ticket request, letting them know why am I being terminated. I have all this documentation, all the reasonings. And the thing with partner and technical support is that there's no person most of the time. Like, you're constantly going through someone in chat, a partner support in chat, creating a ticket. I spoke to someone one time on the phone after saying, please call me. I'm tired of doing this messaging back and forth. Please call me. And they just were like, okay, someone's gonna call you. Someone finally called me. And he basically said there was nothing he can do. He said they put in tickets. He goes, I don't want to waste your time. They're putting tickets in, and I'm just going to constantly get the runaround. The only thing he said was when another opportunity comes about, take it, and then you'll be able to do that. But that's 3 weeks again of a training that I don't need. I don't want to do 3 weeks. That was already 3 weeks of my life that I can't get back. 3 weeks I could have went to the pool with my kids. 3 weeks I could have been doing some kind of schoolwork. I could have been doing something else in those 3 weeks, but I decided to work for free because Dick's Sporting Goods did not pay at that time. I decided to do those classes for free so I can work. After about almost a month of fighting for that was actually back in March, I decided to leave it alone and create a video and let you know what my experience is. Will I go back to a Rise platform? I don't think so. I would love to go back in the position I was already in because I already took the course for that. But to go back and do something else for a whole 3 weeks, get trained again, it's just not worth it when I don't have the time to sit for that amount of time. But if you have the time and can commit fully to that website, you have the time and can commit fully to that platform with no schoolwork, with no kids, with nothing to do, just completely commit, then this opportunity might be for you. But I'm here to say, sitting in 85-degree weather, yes, that platform is legit. You can get paid for it. My suggestion would be to become your own independent contractor, get your own LLC so you get paid directly.